You know, it's a funny thing about rivers. They seem to bring out the romance in people, doesn't it? Remember Bob and Mary on a Govan ferry going to Nuata for a fair? Rivers do that to you, don't they?
There's luxury liners and steamers galore that sail the world o'er frae Scotland's fair shore. But if it's a free sail you want, then you must get on a wee ferry run by the Clyde Trust. They're no very handsome and streamlines they lack. They're the same at the front as they are at the back. But if you want pleasure, then you canny wheel hide. Just take a wee ferry that crosses the Clyde. They've got a black funnel, the colour o' the fleet, and their crews are the finest old salt you could meet. They're clever wee boats, you can bet your last pound. They go backwards and forwards without turning round. There's no first-class cabin nor dining saloon like you get on the steamer that sails to Dunoon. But if you want o'er the river sea wide, just take a wee ferry that crosses the Clyde. They dug a big tunnel wi' Dunit white inch, but it's never the same as the ferry to Winch. You'll no see the big boats as they're sailing by, nor hug your wee bird as you gaze at the sky. You'll no see the swing parks where the children are playing, the gantries and cranaries o' Fairfield's big crane. They're clever wee boats, you can bet your last pound. They go backwards and forwards without turning round. The sea is the place for romance, so they say, but the ferry has always had its part to play. For many a man and his bonny wee bride first met on a ferry that crosses the Clyde. So let's all remember that famous decree that said the wee ferries in Glasgow were free. And here's to the Clyde Trust and the day they decided to sail the wee ferry that crosses the Clyde. To sail the wee ferry that crosses the Clyde.
Alistair, sometimes it seems you're never off that ferry.
Yeah, as the itinerant folk singer that turns up at every gig such as this. I suppose that's one of the things about being a folk singer. You're this kind of custodian of all things past. I mean, I remember the last tram car leaving George Square in Glasgow, and here we are at the Renfrew ferry. It was a fortunate day when a man called Jimmy Wallace wrote a song for the wee ferries in the Clyde. There are probably more songs written about these than we will ever know, because somebody would take an item such as the Renfrew ferry probably and be so captivated by it that he would write a song, but we'll never ever hear them because they're so particular. Jimmy Wallace wrote a song for the ferries of the Clyde generally, and that covers a sad day such as this, the Renfrew ferry, quite well.
It's always been a great ferry for wee boys to come and play on, spend the day on. Did you used to do that?
Yes, we did. It was a case of the old Govan ferry, this one here at Renfrew, and not just that, but you could go around the different engineering places around here, and for a wee boy that was a wonderful thing. Sad that these times are drifting off. However, the songs are there to remind us, for sure.
Do you actually find that romantic?
I personally find it romantic, but then I'm no economist. You know, there's probably a very good economic reason for getting rid of things such as this, and you'll hear two guys arguing the pros and cons. For me, that's romance. It really is. The line that pleased me enormously was when the last tram left George Square. A piece of Glasgow wisdom was uttered by a drunk hanging on to the lamppost there, saying, "We are witnessing the end of an era." That's Glasgow wisdom. This is the end of another era, I think.
And then he probably broke into song.
He would.
Well, the romance of the ferry has meant just that for some people. The Renfrew Historical Society recently received a letter from Mrs. Henry of Helensburgh.
My husband and I went for a sail on the ferry on our very first date, and it's therefore something special to me. We've crossed on her many times since, taking our little boy for a cruise. We are very sorry that she's being taken out of service.
Mrs. Henry, was it really your first date?
It was, yes.
What happened, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, we had, we'd met at well, we both worked for university, and we'd been at a congress, and John and I were at a dance, and that was really the start of it. And he invited me out on a Sunday, and I met him. I didn't know what to do, so he suggested we went for a bus run.
Bit of a cheap night out, Mr. Henry.
Well, no expense spared. It was a cruise, first time out.
Did you used to come a lot as a teenager?
Yes, I used to come down in the tram car and cross the ferry, look at the ships, then go up through Paisley and Barhead on the tram. An entire night, but at small cost.
Do you think it'll be a great loss?
I will feel it, yes. And I think it's like the tram cars. We won't really appreciate it till it's gone.
What about you?
I feel the same, yes.
Well, I suppose you could say your son Darryl here is the product of that first date. Is that a fair way of putting it?
I suppose so, yes.
How many times have you been on the ferry?
8 times.
8 times. Are you going to miss it?
Yes.
Well, anyway, you'll have a souvenir of it, because originally you wrote the letter to the Historical Society asking for a copy of their booklet, so
That's
there you
right.
are.
Thank
and
you
thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.
So let's all remember that famous decree that said the wee ferries in Glasgow were free. And here's to the Clyde Trust and the day they decided to sail the wee ferry that crosses the Clyde, to sail the wee ferry that crosses the Clyde.
Certainly going in style. Now the headlines and weather.